And hello, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. Our top story this hour, new details about this potential deal between Israel and Hamas to free hostages. A senior Israeli official telling ABC News that Israel's government is hoping to secure the release of at least 50 hostages within a 4-day span. President Biden appearing optimistic about the potential agreement as well, while addressing reporters at the White House earlier today.
We could bring some of these hostages home very soon. But I don't want to get into the details of things because nothing is done until it's done. And if we have more to say, we will. But things are looking good at the moment.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also telling reporters that his government was making progress on an agreement with the terror group and Qatari officials who are helping broker the deal. Well, they say negotiations are in a critical and final stage. And while these talks continue, IDF troops still operating across Gaza. We're checking in now with Patrick Reevell, who's been tracking it all from Tel Aviv. So, Patrick, what are we learning this hour about a possible hostage deal?
Hi, Kira. Yeah, it seems that we are increasingly on the verge of Israel and Hamas reaching a deal to free those hostages in exchange for a temporary ceasefire. We're in a square here in Tel Aviv that's called Hostage Square. It's been known that since these hostages were taken over 40 days ago, families, as you can see around me, of these hostages gather here and have been gathering here to demonstrate and push for a deal now for that period. You can see this table here, this long table is set with empty places for the people who've been kidnapped. And the idea is that when they come home, that they can be met and eat with their families again. And they're here now on this square because behind me there is the military headquarters. Behind me is where Israel's war cabinet is meeting right now to vote on this deal. We understand that once they vote, Israel's entire government will also vote on the deal. That could go on into the early hours, even to tomorrow morning. And then there is also, after that, a waiting period imposed by Israeli law of 24 hours. The deal, as we understand it, according to U.S. and Israeli officials, would see around 50 hostages released in exchange for a temporary ceasefire of 4 to 5 days, with also Israel releasing around 130 Palestinian women and children and minors, as well as a large influx of aid into Gaza. At the time being, we know that the Israeli cabinet is already meeting under Benjamin Netanyahu, but until the deal is done, it's still not done. People here, though, these families are waiting and praying that this deal is going to come through.
So are there any factors up in the air that could take the train right off the tracks with this deal, Patrick?
So, I mean, speaking with Israelis here, with people who've watched the conflict for a long time, they are very, very cautious because they remember previous negotiations where at the last minute things have fallen apart, where both sides have used, essentially pulled out at the last minute, trying to get more. And so until it's done, until these people are released, there's no certainty. I mean, the other thing is as well, once it begins, what we've been told by some Israeli officials is that most likely this will take place in a staggered manner, that during each day of the ceasefire, a number of hostages will be released. One Israeli source has told us that it will be around 12 to 16 hostages released each day, and that also if Hamas decides that it wants to keep releasing more hostages, then potentially this ceasefire could be extended by a day at a time. And that would obviously also be good news for Gazan civilians. It would allow them to also have more aid brought into Gaza and to try and recover from the extremely heavy bombardments that they've been facing. But for the time being, this deal still isn't yet a done deal, and everyone is still crossing their fingers and hoping that it will happen.
And I know that you've been talking to those behind you there and also just the family members of hostages. This does seem to be closer to anything that we've seen so far. I mean, just sort of tell us if they are more optimistic this time around and feel that something truly will happen versus just the talk in the past month or so.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere here tonight does feel different. You know, there is a sense of expectancy. I mean, just behind me up by the military headquarters, there are people right up against the gates with flags, clearly, you know, trying to urge them on to get this deal. There is a sense of excitement here, but there's also, of course, a great deal of apprehension. I mean, speaking to the families here over the past few weeks, it has been, you know, harrowing. People are really in unimaginable situations. But, I mean, right now we can hear singing behind us, and people are singing Jewish prayers, singing the Israeli national anthem, really hoping that this is the moment that they're going to reach a deal.
Yeah, it's very much a different setting than it has been in the past few weeks. Patrick, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.